Today on Nova Legends podcast, I want to talk about the Fairfax High School football controversy. Yes, it's football season, and with football always comes controversy. More with football than any other sport. I guess it's high school football is still king, but here we are again. Last year was Hayfield. Before that, it was Freedom by 70. But this year, it's going to be, looks like Fairfax is going to be the team that we're talking about. Well, how we got here. Well, a couple days ago, started seeing some very strange posts on social media about there's a big story out there, no one's upset about it, and really cryptic type stuff. And I had no idea, I didn't know what it meant. I remember last year there had been some during the Hayfield recruiting controversy. There have been some other schools that there are whispers about. One of which South County, the coach actually stepped down. But there have been some other schools where you'd heard some whispers about recruiting, about kids from other jurisdictions. So, but nothing ever really happened, and I hadn't heard anything about it since. Well, then started seeing these posts on social media. Why isn't anybody upset? There was no media coverage of anything. I searched X, Twitter, Google, nothing. And why aren't people mad about? Then Fairfax came up, and but I couldn't find anything about the story, and people were calling for outrage, but there was nothing to be outraged about. No one really knew the facts. Well, then Fox News came out with a story yesterday that said that $8,000 have been paid to a player, and two coaches have been placed on leave. Head coach Troy Taylor and an assistant have been placed on admin leave. And Fairfax County put out a statement saying they're going to do a full investigation. I think they've changed their internal processes of how recruiting is handled now after last year, but they're doing an investigation and to see what's going on. And last year, I remember we went through this. I think like in June, Fairfax County Times put out a story about there was a woman who felt like her son was being bullied, and all these kids at Hayfield were coming in. They were cursing. They were scary. All this garbage that ended up being the start of the saga, the Hayfield so-called recruiting saga. That ended with Hayfield withdrawing from the playoffs. Um, but this is we're almost in August now, and I hadn't heard anything about this. So once this came out, everyone's a little bit shocked by it. I mean, the outrage that folks were complaining about 2 days ago, it's here. We just didn't know what the story was. So yeah, yeah. So what's going on? What's the story? There were some former Hayfield coaches that were the ones driving the story, and I mean, I guess maybe there had been some allegations that Fairfax was involved in the boycott of Hayfield in the playoffs last year. So understandably, maybe those Hayfield coaches had carried some resentment, or they had been put through the ringer. What are we going to let Fairfax out free? But I just don't think anyone knew this was a story. But it is a story now. So here we are. My thoughts on this is the same as with Hayfield's story, yes, last year. I, the whole time, I never felt like until it was proven that a Hayfield player that had been recruited or whatever was an eligible Hayfield player got into a game. Um, I didn't see that Hayfield should be um, suspended from competition. They had to prove the case. Even when I guess the guy's name was Fritz, Monty Fritz, the AD at Hayfield, there's some texts that were caught, and I think that led to Hayfield withdrawing from playoffs. I still, and I understood why they withdrew, but still, even the chat groups I'm in with folks who are very sympathetic with Hayfield's cause. Even I was the last one. So I stuck to Hayfield to the very end because you have to prove the case. Well, I feel the same way about Fairfax. I mean, we don't even know anything. Everyone's already asking for their head. Everyone's claiming like some big, um, um, you know, conspiracy to shield them. The story is, for what we know, 2 days old. I mean, there's been rumors for a long time, but there's rumors around the state. There are rumors when I played. So you don't banish people because of rumors. Now the proof is going. It looks like the proof is going to come out, and I'm interested in hearing the proof. But just like last year, until they prove anything, to me, Fairfax is innocent. They shouldn't be suspended, and they get a chance to prove their case as well. So anyway, I do feel like there's a little bit of there's some hypocrisy here. And look, I understand it. We all could be hypocrites, but last year we wanted all this process. We've got to be fair. Now we're jumping on people. On the other hand, I guess there are some folks that probably were tough on Hayfield that maybe they were asking for leniency, but I haven't seen many of those. Um, you know, from what I heard, you know, people were given money to play at Fairfax, at least one player, and maybe they were involved in revealing those payments. So, which is an interesting situation to accept money like it's okay, and then tell on it. So maybe it got revealed in some other way, or maybe maybe they were unhappy. I saw something somewhere that they were put on JV. I don't know. You hear all kinds of stuff, but it's weird that people would accept money, and then all of a sudden that money is a problem. So hopefully, in all the kids that are involved, I'm sure people are going to find out where they are, where they ended up, what the heck is going on, because the whole thing seems a little strange to me. The reality is, this is not that crazy. There is money being thrown around in amateur football everywhere. There's a player that played at University of Maryland last year, averaged 13 points a game. Good player. He got $3 million to go to USC this year. I think VCU, their salary for their basketball team was I think $200,000. I mean, the money is absolutely unbelievable. So, when people say $8,000 for a kid to go to high school, maybe it does seem a little bit out of whack, but for the NIL world, that's not out of whack at all. I mean, that may be a bargain depending upon how good the player is. Um, so if they recruited this kid by giving him money, that seems to be against the law. But they seem like there's ways to artfully had created this deal so it'd be legal. So I mean, NIL, he can go to a car dealership, shake some hands, whatever, wear some apparel. It doesn't seem like it takes much um, to get that money, that likeness, that name, image, likeness. So there are ways that this could have been very legal. So I don't think we should act like this is the biggest crime in the world. This is not last year's situation with the Langley coach that was uh, allegedly chasing kids to Frederick, Maryland. This is the way the game is played. Now, you know, and I support it. I support people getting money to play sports. I wouldn't pay anyone to play sports, and I wouldn't want my kids to make decisions based solely on money. But this is the game now. This is the way the market's working, and I believe NIL is legal in Virginia. That doesn't mean that these transactions were legal. We have to see. I don't know if they structured them right, but I don't. I think the outrage is a little bit strange because this is the game. Um, I do say, like the Hayfield folks that are now over at the St. James, that is such a great situation for Coach Overton and his staff. They're going to kick some serious butt there. The coach is so talented. He's so driven. The kids are going to get great experience. The ones that are very serious about football. I don't think it's for every kid, but I think if you want to play big time football, I think you could probably do well for yourself if that's where you want to go. But I don't understand why the Fairfax situation has anything to do with the Hayfield situation, really. I mean, both sides should be treated fairly. I get it. And I understand being upset if Fairfax was involved in Hayfield's treatment. I can understand that bitterness, but do we really want the Fairfax kids who are not involved to suffer? And who is that helping? St. James is going to be on another level. They're going to probably be laughing at high school football, public high school football, which I still support. But that's my thing. But I don't think it's going to be in the way of St. James. I just think we all should maybe slow down and see what the heck is going on. And I don't know. I think in some ways we're being a little bit naive into how this world is working. And even without the NIL, maybe these transactions have been around for a while. I don't know of any, but I don't know. I just think we should slow down and we should last year, I think Fairfax County took, what, six months for the investigation. I think it was late October before they end up deciding. Well, let's Fairfax County, let them take their time and let's see what's going on. Maybe there's a reason for this. Maybe they structure this thing right. And from what I've seen, it doesn't really seem like it, but they should have every opportunity to prove that. In Fairfax County, they seem to to stand by Hayfield for a very long time last year until the boycott. So I think we should give them a chance to investigate the Fairfax situation and let's go from there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate you listening. Thanks.